Welcome in everybody to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host Michael Darcy, and today I'm joined by Michael Hebner, and we're going to preview the Week 13 matchup between the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs Kingdom, we have a very exciting Week 13 matchup to preview. The Oakland Raiders come to Kansas City to play the Chiefs in what should be a very exciting primetime game. The Chiefs have, to say the least, beaten up on the Raiders for the past 5 to 7 years, and I do not expect that to change. This game has huge repercussions. If the Chiefs win, they will win the AFC West, and the Raiders need to win this game just to hold off the Chiefs and give themselves a chance to even win the division. So the Chiefs have everything to gain, and the Raiders have everything to lose. So this is a great situation for the Chiefs, and I think that if they just go out and play their game, they will absolutely crush the Raiders. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, it'll be an interesting game. Derek Carr, too, is something to watch because he hasn't been good historically in cold weather.
Derek Carr has not won a game at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the weather is going to be 30. It's going to be 36 degrees as of right now on Sunday, and I was just reading something that said his stats when the weather is below 40 degrees are 0-4. 152 yards per game, passing, 51% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. This is awful.
That's not good enough to beat this Chiefs team.
Oh, definitely. And since our defense is now rising, I don't think there's any question right now unless everyone's talking about how Derek Carr can't play in the cold. So obviously he's heard it. I know people have asked him about it, so it'll be interesting to see.
Well, like I just said, it's not just that he can't play in the cold, it's just that he can't beat the Chiefs. He's played the Chiefs so many times in his career, and I believe that he's only won once. So, that's not good. And I think that this Chiefs team is just flat out better, and the better teams tend to win games. Look at this Raiders secondary. It's pretty much in shambles. So if Patrick Mahomes has a good offensive line for even just one quarter, you saw what the Chiefs did in Oakland in the second quarter earlier this year. They put up 28 points. So all they need is one quarter or one half to beat this Raiders team. And I think that with this Raiders banged up secondary, the Chiefs are just going to pick apart that Raiders defense. And I think that as long as this Chiefs team can get out early to a big lead, the Raiders are just going to be playing catch up for the rest of the game, and they're just not going to be able to gun alongside with Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the first time since week 1 that we've had for the most part, completely healthy team. The only person on the injury report this week was Damian Williams, and he's out for the game. But everybody else, Kendall Fuller, Mitchell Schwartz,
Eric Fisher
is coming back, Fisher, Watkins.
Yeah, this is the healthiest the Chiefs have been since week 1.
I wouldn't say healthiest. There's still guys recovering, I believe. Obviously, the bye week probably helped, but...
the fact that all these players are capable of playing, that just says enough. We haven't seen Kendall Fuller in 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, and it'll be nice to get him back in the secondary, which I think will start to improve the defensive play. But with Ogba out, that kind of screwed up our defensive line. But Frank Clark said he was feeling a lot better with his pinched nerves, so that means
a big game from Frank Clark's on the way. I guarantee that.
Yeah.
But Michael, what do you think are the keys to beat this Raiders team? Because the Raiders, I believe, have a top 15 rushing attack. They're very good. Josh Jacobs is, in my opinion, the offensive player of the year, offensive rookie of the year. He's been that good. So they got to stop. They got to stack the box. They got to beat Josh Jacobs. And if that happens, I don't see this Raiders team beating the Chiefs because, Derek Carr, like we've been just preaching over and over and over again, he can't win an Arrowhead, and in the cold, he's not going to carve up this Chiefs secondary that's not that bad. The Chiefs have a better defense than the Raiders, and I don't think that anybody would really debate that. So what are your keys to this game in order to see a Chiefs victory?
Well, the obvious one is don't let them run the ball. That's literally been the number one story since week 1 is don't let them run the football. They should have to throw it through the air. I mean, last week we had, 4 interceptions? 2 weeks ago we had 4 interceptions. Granted,
It was Phillip Rivers, but
Phillip Rivers
Derek
hasn't been
Carr's
doing well
not
this
much
season.
better than Phillip Rivers. So
Yeah,
they
but
could easily do that to him.
Yeah, and I think the other key is getting pressure, because Derek Carr, to me, always seems to get flustered whenever he's forced out of the pocket or
the pocket
he
collapses.
gets sacked or whatever. Yeah, it's just he kind of panics and then he'll throw the ball up. Sometimes he gets lucky. Sometimes he's not. I mean, I think defensively they need to obviously put pressure on him and stop the run. But I think the secondary needs to step up a little bit this week too, because the only reason the Chiefs won 2 weeks ago was because
the secondary stepped up.
No, it was because Sorensen was in the right place at the right time, and Phillip Rivers made an awful throw. That was the only reason the Chiefs won.
The secondary has played pretty well this season, and I mean, they sometimes get drilled with pass interference calls, but I mean, that's pretty much expected. So I'm not really complaining about this Chiefs secondary. I think that these middle linebackers have got to step up and stop the run because they are going to get tested.
And I think they have. I mean, I think the linebackers have improved since the beginning.
Well, there's no doubt that they've improved, but they're going to get tested, and they need to rise to the occasion and stop Josh Jacobs.
The defensive line needs to do their job too. I mean, like I said, Frank Clark is going to be healthy again, hopefully this week, and he's had 2 weeks now to recover even more, so that's nice. But they need to set the edge. They need to make sure that those gaps can get plugged with just the defensive line, and the linebackers can be used as like a safety net. So if they do get past the defensive line, they can make the tackles, because you can't allow someone, to be. I mean, no offense to Tyrann Mathieu, but like you can't take someone like Derrick Henry and face him up against someone who's 3 inches shorter, and
Yeah. The middle linebackers have to stop the run, and that way they don't have to drop back into coverage, because the linebackers have pretty much shown that they cannot do that, and so leave the coverage to Tyrann Mathieu, Juan Thornhill, those guys in the secondary. If the middle linebackers can limit Josh Jacobs to 1 or 2 yards a carry, this Chiefs team will demolish the Raiders, and it's not even going to be close. So if they can pretty much just shut down that running game, they're going to have a very good chance of winning. But, I mean, this Chiefs offense, even though that they've been putting up points, they got to get better, because I think last week against the Chargers, they had the ball 4 times in the fourth quarter, and they punted on every single possession, and that's unacceptable. You got to extend the game and get those first downs to prolong the game and basically give this Chiefs offense a chance to stay on the field longer than they've had all season, because this Chiefs offense is going to get to a point later in the season or in the playoffs where they're going to have a long drive and milk the clock. And so far, they've shown that they really can't do that in the later minutes of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue right now is, I mean, last week, the Chiefs played really conservative football on offense. I mean, we got to a point in the game where we had a comfortable lead. They didn't want to blow it, which I'm fine with. I mean, if you think that that's going to win us a game, I don't care if Patrick Mahomes only puts up 100 yards, win the game. We don't need to be putting up stats, but at the same time,
the Chiefs just cannot let their foot off the gas. They just can't do that. Andy Reid needs to continue with the aggressiveness all 4 quarters and every minute of those quarters. They just have to prolong their drives so this defense is not able to come back on the field, because they've been playing very well, and the longer that they're on the field, they're just going to get worn down.
Yeah, and I think that one of the biggest issues for the Chiefs offense is the fact that we don't have, especially this week, a solid running back. Like, McCoy is great and all, and he's had his moments, but
he's not the same running back this year.
But he's also fumbled the ball. Last week he almost fumbled it again, but he caught it. He fumbled
Which I don't know how he even did that.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you everyone would be saying bench him if he did that again, because it feels like every single time he touches the ball, he fumbles it. So between him and I hope they start Darrell Williams, because I really like him.
We got to see some Darwin Thompson. I think that he's going to be this Chiefs' next franchise running back, and he just hasn't gotten the chance. And that's a topic for another video, but I think that if the Chiefs can establish a running game early and go back to that running game often, they're going to win this game. So in my opinion, if the Chiefs defense can step up, they don't have to be great, but if they're just good enough to stop Derek Carr, they got to stack the box, eliminate Josh Jacobs from getting 5 yards a carry, and if this offense can score early, often, and get out to a big lead, this Chiefs team will easily crush the Raiders and win their 4th straight AFC West title. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you guys like these videos and want to support me, go click the link in the description and go support me on my Patreon. I would more than appreciate it. Thank you to Michael Hebner for joining me in this episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the KC Sports Report by Michael Darcy.